Hello, everyone. Good afternoon, and welcome to From Trails to the Peaks, Kamya's Blueprint to Become a Mountaineer, organized by Pradhan Trust in collaboration with Geo Events. So, we have a very special guest and speaker with us today here, Ms. Kaamya Karthikeyan, the youngest mountaineer to climb the highest peak in all the continents, completing 7 Summit Challenge. She is the youngest person to climb Mount Everest and also receiver of the Pradhan Mantri Rashtriya Puraskar, that is the highest civilian award for citizens under 18. Welcome, Kamya, and thank you for joining us today here.
Thank you, ma'am, for that wonderful introduction, and thank you for having me. It's an honor.
So, Kamya, before starting with my regular questions, it's a curiosity from my side. What inspired you to become a mountaineer at this very young age?
My father has been my inspiration. He's an officer in the Indian Navy, and right from when I was very young, he was involved with the Navy's mountaineering expeditions. So, as a young kid, I used to always be curious and ask my mom, why does dad leave us to go to the mountains again and again? So, my mom said we should go see for ourselves. That's the only way we'll find out. And so, that curiosity led her to take me on my first Himalayan trek when I was 7 years old. And I think after that, it's just been a calling of the mountains year in, year out.
Oh God, you climbed your first peak when you're 7 years old.
Yes.
That is quite an inspiration. And it's like your father and your mother, all of you go together for the trek.
Absolutely, yes.
Wow, that's so nice. So, Kamya, when you go for these treks, so of course you need physical strength, and being a 7-year-old, you must be really young. So, along with that, you must need a lot of mental resilience, right? When you go to this trek, right? So, what are the strategies or routine that you follow or that have been given to you by your parents that you keep your mind when we are going to these treks?
Absolutely. In fact, I would go as far as to say that mental strength is even more important than physical conditioning in mountaineering, because no matter how strong you are, at some point your body is going to get tired, and then you have to be strong enough to push yourself. So I think one thing when I'm on the expedition, one thing that I keep telling myself is just look down and just put one foot in front of the other and just focus on that next step that you're taking. And of course, a lot of preparation also helps, because when you prepare physically, when you've planned all your logistics properly, when you've read about the mountain and you know all the challenges that you're going to face, having that knowledge also gives you a lot of confidence and belief in yourself, which also leads you to be more confident of your abilities on the mountain. So I think to train myself mentally, the most important thing I do when I'm heading out on an expedition is to just learn as much about the mountain as I can.
Oh my God. So I think that comes under life lesson also. Take one step, right?
Absolutely.
Like pushing yourself in the mountains. Even I remember when I go to the trek, the next thing is like how to go forward. When you see the peak, when you see that slant, and like, oh my God, I will reach there. And that's a different satisfaction in itself.
Absolutely.
And you are such in such a young age, you have climbed so many peaks. It's like hats off. So
Thank you.
Kamya, just a curiosity, when you go for these treks and when you have been involved in this journey for a long time, there are many young people who might be of your age or younger who just want to know how to start with this journey, the courses involved, and what are the I would say credentiality that is recognized in India and globally for this. Can you just guide us through that?
Absolutely. So I think before even going to the technical aspect of mountaineering, I would just say for anyone, irrespective of age, to start out with small treks. Wherever you live, I'm sure there might be small trails around you. So start off with that, see if you like it, because all said and done, it might not be for everyone. Everyone has their own interests and their own abilities. So if you like it, then move on to doing lower Himalayan treks, and then move on to uh, less technical peaks. So I would definitely say start small and gradually increase the difficulty of the treks and the climbs that you're doing. And when it comes to the technical training, there are a few institutes in India, mountaineering institutes, which offer basic and advanced mountaineering courses. So for most of the expeditions, you don't necessarily need the course as a credential to be able to go on the expedition. but the techniques and all the knowledge that you gather during those courses definitely help you again develop that confidence in yourself when you're on the mountain. So I would definitely say it's a very important aspect. And of course, in recent years, it's very unfortunate that we see a lot of people not have much experience, or people who are just new to mountaineering come to climb a peak like Everest all of a sudden. So while a lot of them do summit, I think the right way to do it is to start slow and gain all of these technical skills as you go. And then finally, when you have all of that skill set, is when you will be able to sustain yourself on a peak like Everest.
Okay, so going back to your answer, can you name some of the reputable institutes which our viewers they can go
The
to?
main institutes are the Himalayan Mountaineering Institute, that's in Darjeeling. There is a Nehru Institute of Mountaineering, and there's a newer institute in Arunachal Pradesh called NIMAS, that's the National Institute of Mountaineering and Allied Sports. So I did my basic mountaineering course from the institute in Arunachal, and all of them have been around for a very long time. They have very dedicated and knowledgeable instructors there. So definitely everyone who goes for the course, I'm sure if you talk to anyone who's gone for the courses, they'll always say that they've used all the skills that they learned during that 1 month of the course in every single expedition.
Oh, that's interesting. Also, you mentioned some skills that are important, right, for these treks and going to the summit. So, what are the core skills that you think every beginner should master before attempting such serious climbs that you have done?
The skills differ from expedition to expedition, of course, but I think a few of the basic skills that you do end up using everywhere is how to walk with a crampon and how to be able to sustain for walking 6 8 hours every single day for a pretty long time. And the smallest of things, logistics is a huge part of mountaineering. So the smallest of things, like how to pack your backpack so that it is balanced, can make a huge difference to the energy that you consume while climbing. And then, of course, there's more advanced skills that you don't necessarily use on all expeditions, like using a jumar, which is a climbing equipment that we use to climb very steep slopes. So, using a jumar or using ice axe, all of those are also skills that you might need for certain expeditions. But yeah, the basics are crampons and how to learn how to walk properly for that long of a time and stuff like that.
Yeah, and I think the skills are important because it ensures the safety also, right? Of the
Absolutely.
person. So when you go to the trek, when you are on the journey, so nothing can go wrong. I think that
Absolutely.
becomes very important. So can you share some of the most critical safety protocols or decision-making framework that you rely on during any challenges that happen in the mountain or any dangerous situation in the mountain or some experience that you have faced which you have resolved? So can you share that with us?
So I think the safety protocols again start before you even set foot on the mountain. So the first step towards it is to think of everything that could possibly go wrong and try to understand how you can resolve that. And
That's a
that
nice
is
point.
just so unique to every single mountain. And then, of course, one of the most important things as a mountaineer is one, to know how to push yourself beyond your limit, but it's also important to know when to turn back, because it's not a competitive sport where you're competing against someone else, right? When you're climbing mountains, you're at the mercy of nature. And all said and done, no matter how much you prepare, how trained you are, how good you are technically, how well you've packed for your expedition, what weather forecast you've seen, in the mountains everything can change in the matter of seconds. So you need to be able to make a call that may not be the call that you want to take, but it's the most suited call to ensure your safety on the mountain. So that is a very important skill to have for sure.
Definitely. So I know few people who couldn't complete the Everest because their partners had frostbite and all these things. So I have heard this from them also. Like you should know when to come back and not to go
Absolutely.
forward, right?
That's one of the most important skills that a mountaineer needs to have.
Oh my God. I'm just curious more about your experiences in the mountains actually. Okay, so going through your experiences and you going around the continents to climb the peaks. So I think funding is one of the most important thing in mountaineering also, and for young people, it's another challenge also how to get this funding. So how did you manage the financial challenge of the training and gear and international expeditions? And what advice do you have for this those who are seeking scholarship and sponsorship for such mountain climbs?
So yeah, I'll just start by saying, like you said, mountaineering is a very expensive and resource intensive sport. And the reason it's so difficult for climbers to get sponsorships is because it's not much of a spectator sport. Right? There's no one watching you as you're climbing. There is no competition. Nobody's going to give you a medal when you summit the peak. You're doing it for yourself, which is the reason a lot of climbers find it hard to get sponsorships. But I think I have been very lucky. I've always believed in providence and destiny, and we always believe that if you work hard, if you put your best foot forward, then something is going to work out somehow, and that's happened for us up until now, touch wood. But I think to anyone who's climbing, I would just say send out emails and network everywhere possible. If you make maybe 100 connections, one of them might turn up fruitful and someone will believe in your cause, believe in your mission, and support you. So yeah, I think that's the only advice I have per se, to just try as much as you can, try reaching out to as many people as you can, and there'll surely be someone who will resonate with what you're trying to do.
Definitely, like don't give up, right? There
Absolutely.
has to be someone who trusts in you, right?
100%.
So, what do you think are the key elements that sponsors look for? Since you have been through this whole process, what are the key elements that a young mountaineer can build to make their profile more compelling and attract support from different brands and organizations?
I think that again depends from organization to organization, what their ethics and beliefs are, what kind of movements they're supporting. But I think at the core level, I would just say something that they're looking for is that your mission is more than just you climbing. There should be some cause that you're trying to help. There should be some mission behind it, some awareness that you're trying to spread through what you're trying to do, because when they're supporting you, they want to be connected with a cause. They want to be connected with more than just one individual trying to climb a mountain. They want to be connected to the change that that person is trying to bring by doing that particular expedition.
Oh, that's an interesting perspective, actually. So, people, I think, also bringing in mountain and sustainability and environment, right?
Absolutely. So there's just so many causes. So many of us mountaineers, we go into the mountains every single year. We see firsthand how the glaciers are melting, how climate change is impacting our environment. And I think that's a really important cause that all of us do realize how important it is and stand up for it.
That's great. So, Kamya, some more questions regarding the mountaineering journey. So, mountaineering world is evolving. Like there are more career opportunities that are coming out, right? So, there are more opportunities for the youth also. So, what alternative roles can young people explore if they want a sustainable career in this field? What do you suggest?
I think there's just so much they can do. Right from being a climber, of course, is the core skill that you will need to be able to do anything else. There are people who are working with environmental change in the mountains. There are people who are developing technology that works at high altitude. There are people who are creating content around mountaineering and the lives of people there. There are people who are doing social work for the people who live in these high altitude rural areas, especially when you see the Himalayan belt. And right from that to people who are guides who have their own companies. I think in every field there's definitely opportunities available for people in mountaineering.
Definitely. And you started it with your family also, then makes it even more special, I think, for you, right?
Absolutely, yes.
So, along with your father, Commander S. Karthikeya, who's the Indian Navy, and I think it makes your expedition more family affair, right?
In
When you
fact,
go to a trip.
that's how my climbing journey started. It didn't start as this bid to break records and climb all these high peaks. It just started as me and my mom going out for a trek during my school summer holidays. So that's how this journey started. And in fact, in 2019, I 2017, sorry, I climbed my first 6,000-meter peak, Mount Stokangri in Ladakh, and that is considered a transition from trekking to mountaineering.
So just
And
hold on. You started with 6,000-meter peak
yes,
at
so
7 years age. Oh my God.
that was when I was 9 years, just 3 days
Ah,
before my 10th birthday. So that was my birthday gift that year.
oh wow.
And Mount Stokangri, the summit climb is very long because you climb directly from the base camp, which is at around 4,800, if I'm not wrong, all the way up to the summit and then back down. So for us, it was almost a 19-hour long summit climb. And when we got back, I got into our base camp about an hour before my parents. And when they came in, I was sitting in eating Maggie and solving Sudoku after having walked for 19 hours. So
Oh my God.
my dad was surprised and he came up and he said, Kamya, do you realize what you've climbed? It's higher than the highest peaks in 4 continents. So in Africa, Europe, Australia, and Antarctica, there's no peak at 6,000 meters or higher. So my response to that was, can I climb the other three as well then? So that's how this whole mission came to be. So it never started out as a record breaking spree or something like that. It started out as a family affair, and that's how it's always been. My mom climbed 3 of the 7 summits with me. My dad has done 5 of them with me. Mount Elbrus in Europe, we climbed it together as a family. And I think that's also made it really special for me. And again, it made me feel like also feel like a normal child because I was having fun in the mountains where I was very happy along with my family.
So having the most emotionally and strategically support from your family, right?
Absolutely.
Oh my God. I'm loving your story, and I hope most of the people who are listening to this, they get inspired by your story. I'm inspired. So I want to know something out of the questions. What's your routine to keep yourself healthy? That I want to know.
So the physical routine, there's no scientifically backed training for mountaineering per se that we follow. Majorly, we go on long endurance runs, so about 10 or 15 kilometers. So that trains the legs as well as get some cardio workout in. And during COVID, we had to change our entire training regime because we couldn't step out of our homes. So we started climbing the stairs of our building. We live in a 20-floor building. So we climbed the stairs about 10 or 15 times on a normal day. And that usually helps us train for the height gain as well. And so it's a mix of all of these and some indoor workouts. And living in Mumbai, we've been close to the Sahyadris. So a few times we also step out on a few treks in the Sahyadris. So that keeps us used to being on that kind of rough terrain and instead of the concrete jungle of Bombay.
That's such an interesting strategy, actually. So, Kamya, only a handful of young climbers worldwide have completed the 7 summits that you have done before 18, and it highlights the rarity of your achievement. So, what message do you hope your record sets for young girls and aspiring adventurers in India and beyond?
I think the only message I want to send is that if someone like me could do it, then anyone can do it, right? There is no barrier in the mountains. The mountain's going to treat you the same, irrespective of whether you're a girl or a boy, whether you're 16 years old or you're 61 years old. The mountain's going to treat you the same. And, these are just barriers that we have created as society. And I just hope that seeing this, there are more young climbers who come in and learn to love the mountains the way I have learned to love the mountains and hopefully even break my record in the years to come.
Definitely, I'm seeing it that it will break more records. You will be getting the other award, which is above 18 from the government of India. I can see that. So, just going back, like following up question to your answer. Do you think in this field of mountaineering there's still gender disparity? It still exists, or you don't feel it in such a way?
I don't think in my experiences with the teams that I've climbed with, I've ever been treated different because I was a girl. I would say it has in some spaces impacted me. When I was climbing the highest peak in South America, after landing in Argentina, we were told that we had to fight a case in the juvenile court there before I could get a permit.
Oh,
And, amongst a lot of factors that the judge was taking into account, they didn't want to deal with such a young climber. And to add to my age, I was also a girl, which in their mind was a factor that was tagged up against me. Similarly, when I was climbing Mount Denali, the highest peak in North America, there are only 7 companies that are allowed to run guided expeditions on that mountain. And we wrote to all of them throughout COVID, but none of them were ready to take me in because I was 14, because I was Indian, and on top of all of that, I was a girl. So I think although consciously that gender bias doesn't exist where they'll strip you of opportunities just because you're a woman or a girl, I think subconsciously that does still play into how they consider you as a climber.
oh my God. Definitely, definitely. I think the society barriers, it reflects on your career also, but you have broken all the barriers. You have gone ahead and proved yourself as the most achieved person, most young and achieved person in the mountaineering field. So, Kamya, coming to my last question. So, looking ahead, what actionable steps you think can schools, sports organization, and government agencies can take to encourage more young Indians to take up mountaineering as a sports and as a potential career? Because I don't think most of the youth, when they're young age, they think about going for mountaineering as their career, right? So, what steps do you think they can take?
I think a huge reason for that is also that most of our country isn't exposed to the Himalayas. They don't see it in their daily life. It's something they've only seen in pictures. So it's hard for them to see that as a viable career. But I think what I've seen in recent years is I've seen some schools that take their students out on treks, whether it's locally or even in the Himalayas during their summer holidays and things like that. And I think that really encourages children to just view it as a possible option, if not anything else. And out of the hundreds of students that go on that trek, maybe one of them will go back with their family and friends the next year and do a trek and then keep going. So I would just encourage all schools who have the opportunity and the means to do it to take their students out on a small trek, even if it's just locally, if it's near your school. It will definitely encourage your students. And even if it doesn't motivate them to take up a career in sports or mountaineering, even going on a small trek will teach you so many life lessons and it will stay with you for life. That is for sure. And I would encourage parents to support their children in whatever they do. I wouldn't have been able to come here if my mom hadn't taken me on that first trek. If she had simply said, you can grow up and then go on a trek and see how you like it, then I wouldn't have been where I am and I wouldn't have found my passion today. So I would encourage the parents to support their children's dreams, whatever it is in. And I think I would also say that the government also supports, in a lot of states, government has been supporting mountaineering and mountaineers have been given support from the government. But I'm sure there can be a lot more done. And our Indian Himalayas, we have a very long stretch of the Himalayas within our own country. But I think a lot of people just don't explore it as much to its full potential. And there can definitely be a lot done to improve not just professional climbing, but also tourism in the lower Himalayas for sure.
Definitely, and I totally agree with you. Hats off to your parents. It's because of them I believe that you have achieved this level, and of course, your stamina and your strength is of different level. That's something beyond. And I hope from you many young people come out and get inspired,
Thank you
and
so
they
much.
also follow your steps.
That is the dream. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Kamya, for joining us. That's what we wanted to ask. We wanted to learn more about your experience, and we want this session to become an inspiration for all the people who are going to watch this video. So,
Thank
thank
you.
you so much for
Thank you so much
joining
for
us.
having me.
And it was really nice to have a conversation with you.
Same here. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.